am I? I'm Uncle Cole, and today I'll be putting these eucalyptus leaves on the fire. And what we're doing, we're producing smoke as a cleansing, and we're cleansing the energy around us through the smoke. And this is the most common way that our people do the smoking ceremonies, with eucalyptus leaves. And I'll place them on the fire, and we'll get we get smoke straight from the fire. We don't have to wait; it's almost immediate, and it's not an offensive smell. And we imbibe ourselves with the smoke, particularly our feet and our bodies and our face.
This video is about the upcoming referendum on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. My name is Priti Karan. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land upon which we walk, live and work, and pay my respect to the elders, past, present and emerging. Australia is calling for a referendum sometime in October this year. It is compulsory for all Australians over the age of 18 to cast a vote in the referendum and answer yes or no to whether they agree to a proposed law to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. Let's find out how people around us feel about it and what the voice really is about.
Jasmine Franklin. I was originally Ellis. My dad's people, they're Gamilaroi people from up north New South Wales, Mungandai Moree people. My nan's people, they're Warramungu people from Tennant Creek in the Northern Territory. My grandmother was brought down here stolen and brought to Sydney, and it's happened. Stolen gens happened with my father, my mother, and with me and my brother. In regards to the voice, what I feel about it is very mixed emotions in regards to what is it all going to mean for me as a people and as my family, and especially right at the grassroots level where it's needed most.
I'm inclined to be in favour of the voice because Aboriginals were in this country tens of thousands of years before Europeans arrived, and they were treated as if the land was uninhabited. I don't think that's fair. And secondly, from what I know of Aboriginal culture, they have mediations. Everything was negotiated by elders who in effect acted as mediators. They have no concept of trial, and I believe they're overrepresented in jail and in the legal system simply because they just don't understand the system. I think a voice to Parliament would assist them greatly.
Recently, I've been trying to find objective sources of information, and they all seem already so politicized that I find it really challenging to come up with enough data to make a decision that's both informed and respectful.
It's important. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's about time that we recognise our Indigenous people in the Constitution. It's appalling that they haven't been recognised in the Constitution.
Well, I believe there's not enough information being given to the public out there, and that I'd like to know a few of the main points is that why, although we are giving the native Aboriginals a voice, what power does that then give them, if any power?
I have no idea what that is, and I really have to find out more about it to comment on that.
I haven't heard much about it, but I think everybody should have their say, and I think that everybody needs to be heard.
Voice? I know very little about it. Where do you get information about this for? Not sure.
Hello. My name is Raylene. I've been known as Lolly all my life. I grew up on the mid-north coast. I come from a place called Kempsey. I'm a Dungari woman. I was born and bred in Kempsey, and I was removed twice as a child. So while I was institutionalised, we copped a lot of abuse in there. It was hard because I was taken away, and my mother was under the impression that she was given us up to be looked after. It's sort of kind of why I don't really have a yes vote, but I don't have a no vote either. I'm just kind of in the middle.
The concept of the voice goes back to even before Federation. However, the voice proposal originated in 2017 in the Uluru Statement from the Heart, an unprecedented document designed and led by the First Nations peoples. It is made up of two broad objectives: the establishment of First Nations voice to the Parliament and truth-telling and treaty, the Makarrata Commission. The Uluru Statement seeks for a constitutionally enshrined voice to the Parliament. The proposed change is to amend the Constitution by inserting a new chapter into the Constitution, Chapter 9, Recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. The voice is an advisory body. It is not to undermine the parliamentary supremacy. The voice proposal is based on the premise that First Nations peoples should have the power to be heard on the matters that affect them, and this power should be protected by way of enshrinement in the Constitution, so it is not dissolved by future leaders. Parliament and government still decides the laws and the policies, which also includes how the voice will be operated if the proposal is endorsed by the Australians. The proposal is that the voice would sit alongside the Parliament and provide non-binding advice on legal and policy matters affecting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. The key components and the operative framework of the voice is yet to be determined and written in form of legislation passed by the Parliament. Such a body is different to any other advisory bodies because it will be constitutionally enshrined, which then can't be abolished by any future governments, unlike other advisory bodies in the past. The voice will provide for the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to be formally consulted on legislation and policies affecting them well before they're passed as laws. The other limb of the Uluru Statement is the treaty and truth-telling. Makarrata is a word from the language of Uluru people in Arnhem Land. It refers to the idea of two parties coming together after a struggle to heal the divisions of the past. It is about acknowledging the wrongs of the past. The Makarrata Commission will be formed by way of legislation. It will not need any constitutional change and therefore is not part of the referendum. Australians have expressed divided views in response to the voice proposal. Some support the proposal, saying it is long overdue expression of what Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people want from the constitutional reform. Others strongly criticise the idea. And then there are many undecided Australians. Individuals and groups against the proposal see the problem with the sequence of the reforms sought. According to them, it should be treaty and truth-telling first, and then the constitutional recognition. From their perspective, the lack of treaty and truth-telling means failure to acknowledge the historical wounds. The argument in favour of the voice first is that we are not ready for the treaty as yet. It has to be worked upon, and the truth is well known to all Australians. The voice first will mean the first step forward towards coming together after a struggle and the capacity to negotiate what we actually want in the treaty. Some Indigenous groups do not support constitutionally enshrined voice. They remain committed to absolute sovereignty and do not want to be mentioned in the colonial document. They show complete distrust in our government and do not believe it is anything more than just a symbolic expression, not capable to bring about any real change at grassroots level. The counter-argument is that we have to make a start somewhere. 234 years of struggle must come to an end. We can't deny the fact that Constitution has impacted negatively upon the lives of Indigenous Australians by either actively excluding First Nations people from the Constitution up until 1967 or by being silent about them as it stands now. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples continue to experience social and economic disadvantages, poor life expectancy, unemployment, highest rate of incarceration. It continues to widen the gap between the Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. Constitutional change is sought as one of the approaches to bring about improvement in the lives of Indigenous Australians. The supporters of the proposal strongly believe that recognition would have a positive effect on the self-esteem of Indigenous Australians and reinforce their pride in their culture and history. Now, it is up to us Australians to make an informed choice on how we proceed with the proposal.